and we're reporting this morning on governance and accountability. This activity provides an update on Gov 3, one of our recommendations that speaks to school board selection framework. The revised governance guidelines were developed, and our qualification standards are being tested across 5 of our regions, regions 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The focus remains on putting capable individuals in place to strengthen school-level governance. The reality is, colleagues, when we have strong governance in our schools, the success is inevitable, all right? And so we are making sure that we improve our governance structures in our schools. To date, the National Council has received over 100 applications for volunteers to serve on school boards. And I want to pause to say, if there are persons watching or in the audience that wants to volunteer to become a member of any school board to serve, then the portal is still open and we're accepting applications. All right? Gov 6 relates to the organizational review. The review is being conducted by the Mona School of Business, and our current completion level stands at 90%, representing a 25% increase since our last reporting period. And for that, we can give a round of applause. Pillar 2, early childhood education. As it relates to teacher support, ECD 4 addresses quality of teaching and learning in our early childhood institutions. And we want to report that we have retained, through our HOPE temporary trained teacher program, 302 teachers, and in September 2026, we're going to be adding 108 teachers. So we will have 410 teachers in our early childhood institutions. Early childhood training, we continue with Pillar 2. Training was aligned to 3 of the standards outlined in the Early Childhood Commission's standard manual. They participated in, our early childhood practitioners participated in 2 series of training sessions. Training including child abuse and reporting under the Child Care and Protection Act. And over 1,300 practitioners benefited from the training sessions. We continue with partnership in our early childhood sector, and support was provided by UNICEF, Early Starters, Juicy Patty, and Nutrition Products Limited. 11 early childhood institutions were targeted, and over 613 children, along with 156 parents, benefited from the interventions and the support from our partners. And for that, we can celebrate this morning. Pillar 3 focuses on teaching, curriculum, and teacher training. And we want to report this morning that teacher retraining is an important task under this pillar. TG1 targeted retraining of our teachers, and over 7,186 primary school teachers and principals benefited from training. Over 1,898 of our stakeholders participated in training and received support, literacy support. And for that, we are very grateful. All right? There you have it on screen. 452 principals engaged, and 1898 stakeholders received literacy support, and over 7,000 of our teachers were impacted to implement the national standards curriculum. Online training provided by the OAS and the CXC, and this was done in partnership with the Jamaica Teaching Council, and the targeted sessions included training in artificial intelligence and its integration in our education system for Caribbean teachers, and promoting democratic participation. Over 175 teachers benefited from the training program. For our curriculum review, we continue under Pillar 3. The review is being done for grades 1 to 3, and we are 30% complete with the activity. And we're looking at the integrated studies and to identify the level of STEAM, ICT, and life skills content that is included in the curriculum. And for that, we want to report that we are making progress with that activity. For Pillar 3, we continue to capitalize on the current interest and engagement of community and private sector stakeholders, and we can say this morning that strong support from international development partners and local partners have been part and parcel of what we do in the ministry, and we want to publicly thank our partners for the support. Post-Melissa recovery support, we had tarpaulins, tents, donations, and learning kits and care packages provided, and those were distributed to our affected areas. And when we talk about the tents, we want to especially just say thanks to UNICEF for organizing the tents, and we understand that additional tents are being sourced for our schools. We also want to acknowledge the support from World Food Program. They have provided us with 10 mobile units that will be used to support our learning in regions 3 and 4. Learning materials, we talk about ensuring that students are still engaged with a variety of opportunity to practice and improve their academic and non-academic skills. And we want to report this morning that over 11,000 grade 4 learning kits were distributed in the affected regions, and over 131,000 literacy resources were distributed site-wise. System-wide, I should say. Sorry about that. We continue to report under Pillar 3, our guidance services. Access to guidance services were expanded, and this includes 86 cluster-based counselors, 80 guidance counselors, 31 clinicians, and over 40 telecounselors. So our students have access to psychosocial support, and this is not just a post-Melissa activity. It is our response to the needs in our schools, and for that we want to thank our counselors and our guidance unit. The national minimum standards for school-based support services were rolled out, and I want to report this morning, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, training was delivered to our specialists in mental health literacy. All right? And for that, we want to celebrate. We continue with our Pillar 3, and I want to also share with you that the policy development is drafted addressing our children who have issues. Let me read it for you. Finalized and operationalize existing laws and policies that address the rights of children with disability. And I want to report this morning that the policy is drafted and awareness activities were held in December, and International Day for Persons with Disability was celebrated on December 3. We continue, and we are at Pillar 4, and we are reporting on our progress this morning. Our pre-service training, the framework to guide our pre-service program review, is 90% complete. And for that, we want to celebrate this morning. We also want to report that we are making progress with our 3+1 model. It is under review, and the current completion stands at 10%. Not so sure what's going on with the slides. Okay. All right, a functioning tertiary education management information system should be developed, and we are reporting this morning that TMIS development is 100% complete. We also want to report that the National Qualifications Framework of Jamaica is fully operational and all structures are in place to implement the NQF. Operationalize the National Qualifications Framework, the Jamaica Credit Accumulation and Transfer Scheme. We are 50% underway with that, and the micro-credentialing framework aligned to the National Qualifications Framework is fully developed and being implemented. There should be enhanced use of the online platforms in our colleges, and we want to report this morning, we're happy to report that all our colleges have online learning platforms in place. We're moving quickly to Pillar 5, technical and vocational education and training. And we're reporting this morning that 13 of our TVET officers participated in the training session. And this morning we want to also report on the modernization of the agricultural labs in our school. For the reporting quarter, Osemarte opened their smart greenhouse, and we have a video clip that we want for you to listen to. We're talking about using modern agricultural innovation in our schools. All right, and we will just...
So we are at Osemarte Technical High School. We have our smart greenhouse. Well, actually today is the opening of our smart greenhouse, the Internet of Things greenhouse. This is part of our expansion plan. This is one of the exemplary labs that is part of the expansion plan. This greenhouse is automated. We have sensors that will collect data and provide information in real time, and will also create actions or operations that will help the plants to really do well.
All right, thank you. And that was one of our TVET officers, Mr. Ducky. When we talk about eating what you grow, we are teaching our students skills that they can use, and also we're improving how we use technology as part of our vocational training programs and activities. So this is what it was before, and today Osemarte can boast that they have an Internet of Things smart greenhouse, the first in Jamaica. All right, and for that we are happy. Pillar 6, infrastructure and technology. As was shared earlier, a lot of activities are taking place in our Pillar 6, and approximately 14 billion was allocated for repairs and reconstruction. Schools impacted, those were shared already by our chair, so I will not spend the time to go through those, but I also want to share with you that we are making significant progress with the infrastructure rebuilding activities. Let me focus a little on the ICT part of the Pillar 6. Increase access across the island, that's one of our recommendations. And I want to report this morning that broadband installation has taken place in 706 of our 1010 public schools. And for that, we want to celebrate this morning. Wi-Fi was also installed in 558 of our public schools, and in Q3, 196 installation was done. Wi-Fi was also installed in 27 of the 48 places of safety in Q3. Put your hands together for that work that is being done. And we're at our last pillar, Pillar 7, focused on finance. And the total disbursement for the reporting period, 3.1 billion. I'll give you the breakdown in short order. Let us just watch this video. Thank you so very much. As I indicated before, 3.1 billion disbursed in Q3, and the breakdown goes across our PATH, school meal grants, and Melissa recovery activities. The trend work continues. As was said earlier in our press conference, it requires heavy lifting, dedication, consistency, and hard work. Thank you so much for listening, and it's my time to turn back to our moderator. Bless you.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Morrison Leon. Give her another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. A good work has been done or continues to be done. And as Chairman Stokes said, it is not glamorous work. It is hard work, arduous, but we continue to push for the future of our country through ensuring the future of our children. Just want to very quickly remind you of the 7 pillars of trend, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who might be online and you're not sure what they are, we have governance and accountability, early childhood education, teacher training, tertiary education, technical vocational education and training, infrastructure and technology, and finance. Really, I should have given a quiz for the people in the room in OPS. But those are for the children. And you can find out that and other information about Trend on our Trend website, trend-ja.com. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to pause as well to acknowledge the presence of another one of our schools. Merle Grove High School has joined us with their teacher who is in charge of student leadership, or student leadership coordinator, Miss Charlene Grant. Very welcome to you, all of our students that are here today. Now, we really would not be here just talking to you without giving you an opportunity to talk back to us. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're opening the floor for questions now. We have, I see a little student with his hand up already. He was taking strong notes. Very good. And I think he's from Dunrobin Primary School. Our first question coming from the right place. And of course, we want to invite those of us who are online at PBC Jamaica, MOESYI, and the Jamaica Information Service online spaces. You are free to also pose your questions there, and we will take them. Yes. Yes. All right, so you want to turn around so we get the question. And introduce yourself, please, and tell us the school you're from and the grade you're in, and then you can pose in with your question.
My name is Daniel Scott, and I am in grade 2, and the name of my school is Dunrobin Primary School.
All right.
And my question is, how are the persons who have no internet going to be schooled, and their only way to be schooled is online class?
All right. Thank you so very much for your question, Mr. Scott. P.S. I'm going to give that one to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Scott, for that big question. Clap him. I could not do that at this stage. So, Mr. Scott, the transformation report instructed us to do some big work and to make sure that you have access and all your peers have access to internet support in your school. So we call it the National Broadband Program. So when I say national, it means it's a big plan for the country. And the Ministry of Education is in that plan. Other ministries, they are in the plan, the Ministry of Health, all the government entities, right? The government has a responsibility to bring the internet to all government entities, like our schools. So the Ministry of Education is way down the wicket with that plan. So we have 1,010 public schools. Yes. Like your school. Yes. So like your school, we have 767 primary schools in Jamaica, a big place. And so we are working as a ministry to bring the internet to the schools. That's what we call the broadband program. And part of it also is to make sure that the internet is widely accessible in the schools. We call it the Wi-Fi aspect of the plan. So from the report, we are over 700 schools with broadband, which means that we have done the work, the cabling, to bring the internet to the schools. And now we are doing the connection points in the schools so you can access the internet from anywhere. We are not 100% complete with that yet. But this transformation program is an 8-year program. But by the end of the mid-year, which is another 2 years, we should be able to complete the full building out of the ICT in our schools. So we have 706 schools now have the internet service, what we call the one, brought to the schools. Now we are promulgating, make sure everywhere can get it. So we are about 500 and something schools in that area and 700 in the internet. But we have a lot more to do. So yes, we do support what we call remote learning, which includes online learning. And we are committed to ensuring that you and your peers will have access at school and around your campus so you can carry on your online education. I'm happy to know that you are doing so already, but we have a lot more work to do to ensure that you can access that at a higher level. All right? Is that helpful? Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Troop. Another question. Is that also from Dunrobin Primary? Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Aiden Tristan, and I am in grade 6, and I'm from Dunrobin Primary School. My question is, how will the students who lost their homes from both public and...
I think we lost him there.
how will the students from both public and private schools be housed?
Housed.
Who lost their homes in the hurricane?
Who lost their homes. Okay. Dr. Troop, those who have lost their homes, how are we providing support for them? Well, yes. So like a prime ministerial question. So we're going to grab a Minister of State for this one.
Right. So our Minister of State will talk about the roof program and other initiatives being rolled out by the government to support our families in this
Yes. So while that is not a direct question to the Ministry of Education, but anything that involves our children, we have some form of involvement. So the government has several housing programs. We have the roof program that is currently ongoing, and in that program, the most affected constituencies and parishes in the western end of the island, the Ministry of Labour, in partnership with the SDC, that's the ministry, an agency in the Ministry of Local Government, they would have had various teams going out into the communities to do their assessments, to look at the damage, and apart from that, we still have the online portal where persons can do their self-reporting. We also have another program through the Ministry of Tourism where children of tourism workers are being assisted through a special program, and then all of the members of Parliament in the Western End, and to include Manchester as well, we were all allocated $10 million to assist the constituents who are most affected. So even as we speak now, different persons who were affected at different levels, they are being helped. Also those who are occupants in NHT homes that qualify for various loans, our ministry and the government has implemented programs to assist with getting the reconstruction loans at a much faster pace. And there are also various private sector organizations who are on board and are helping. There are also some schools that I know for a fact that has boarding facilities. They have helped to accommodate some of those students. I also know that some of our hotels that are not yet opened, they would have been accommodating the hotel workers and their children. So we have come a far way, and there's still some more work to be done. But we are committed to assisting as much as possible with the recovery efforts.
Thank you so very much to our two students, and I'm allowing the members of the media now to come with their questions. Just name, media host, and question.
Good morning. Morning, everyone. Morning, boys and girls. I'm Jamila Maitland, and I'm a reporter at TVJ News. All right, so I have a few. I'll do two first. For the last press conference, the committee said that for the next 2 years we would be seeing takeoff. In light of Hurricane Melissa, takeoff, that is, the program would be implementing more and more in the next 2 years. It was reported at the last press conference. In light of Hurricane Melissa, to what extent has the timeline for some of the programs, for some of the implementation, it's being delayed? I also note that despite Hurricane Melissa, there was an improvement of 5% compared to the 2% the previous quarter, which shows a little bit of growth, which is interesting to me because we had the hurricane. The chairman did speak to say that there was some underreporting done during that period. So if you could just explain that for me, that would be nice.
Thank you. Dr. Stokes?
Right. So the major factor there is reclassification of initiatives. So, for example, initiatives that were, I would say, incorrectly identified as still ongoing in their project management system. Those initiatives came into completion based on reclassification. So that's effectively what moved. The 500%, the 500 basis points accounted, that's accounted for that reclassification. So it's not that, that amount of work was done over that reporting period. It really was a reclassification exercise based on a review that the ministry did. right? And the project manager can speak more extensively on that, but that's the general reason for that material movement period over period. And in terms of the overall project timeline, that has not been changed at this stage. We are still looking to complete the transformation process by the financial year end 2031, right? That's the timeline that we are holding at this stage. In terms of priorities, some have been reordered, as you can imagine. For example, infrastructure has taken on greater focus given the need to repair schools, to rebuild schools, and so on.
I'll do two more before Mahiri scoots over here. This is for the PS. So PS, are there any schools currently being used as shelters? And how is the ministry engaging the schools, the administrators, to ensure that there's minimal disruption to learning at these institutions? And one more. The table with the students returned, there was an NR there beside boys and girls. I'm not sure if I understood what that meant. If you could just explain that and how the ministry is engaging the students who have not returned or their families, what is happening in that regard?
We're gonna, well, PS is gonna take that first question, and CEO, the second question about the NR, Dr. Morrison Leon will take that question.
All right, thank you so much for that question. So from the report I have, we still have 8 schools that are active shelters. The numbers have reduced significantly. For the entire of the 8 schools, we only have 93 shelteries in our schools. So we have 1 with 3, 1 with 1, 1 with 1, 1 with 7, 1 with 8. The highest number is still at Petersfield with 40 shelteries. So it's really, really significantly reduced in terms of the number of persons on our school compound. But I must say that we have been working with our shelteries. Our principals have put things in place to accommodate. The reality is we have had a very difficult time in our country, and we have got to support the recovery process for the people of this country. The people who we are helping as shelteries, they are parents and relatives of the children in our schools. They are relatives of teachers who work in our schools. So they are not strangers to the community. They are people that the school community know, right? So we are grateful that as a ministry, we can support our people of this country who are in need at such a time like this. And it speaks to our resilience and our caring nature as a country, and we must celebrate that. We do understand, though, the need for the access to the entire school plant, and efforts are underway interministerially to make sure that we can get the compounds back in full order as best as we can in the shortest possible time. But we must tell Jamaica that the Ministry of Education cares. We want to know that our relatives are safe. We want to know that we can support the recovery of the people who impact our learning environment. When we did the recovery efforts, we called out on the same people in our communities to come into our school compound and to help with the cleanup effort. The same people who are now in the shelters and those who have left, they participated in that. And we are grateful, and so this is our time to give back and to support. So colleagues, principals, I know you have been patient, and I know you do understand because you are in the local context. But we continue to work to ensure that that decommissioning will take place as soon as possible. As it relates to the students who have not returned, several efforts are underway, and I think our CEO can join me here to speak to that. We spoke to Jamaica some time ago, and we talked about our find children engagement, which is really built into our helping professionals in our schools. So within our schools, we have guidance counselors, we have deans of disciplines, we have health and family life educators, we have our nurses, and of course, within the regions themselves, our 7 educational regional offices, we have a replica of that, and they serve as education officers in the same disciplines. And we are grateful. They have been working together. We have pulled in our pastors in our communities and other persons who have been working, the faith-based organization and community-based organizations who have been working with us to move beyond the school plant into communities. At this point in time, for us to be only having 300 kids that we are not able to account for, it's a massive improvement. When we returned in January, we were over 1,000. But if you compare that to COVID, we can celebrate some gains here. It was very difficult for the ministry to locate our children, but we have been doing much better, and I want to salute the communities that have been working with us. Some of the difficulties we have had, when we go into the field, our principals and team members, they will say, the communities don't know the registered names of our students. They know them with their aliases. And that has become a very difficult task for us in our communities. But we continue to describe and we continue to talk, and they give us ideas as to where to go. You have to also remember that some of these children, though we are not able to account, we understand from members in the communities that the families have relocated. So they are not necessarily in their locale as they ought to be. And the homes are not there. So when our principals and guidance counselors go, the homes are not there. Persons are elsewhere trying to cope. We do have to check within our system as well. We have not been able to tie that down to track every single child. Because if a family relocates, chances are that family would have moved to put that child in a school. We have not been able to track those persons in a precise way, and I believe that is how we have been missing the 300 plus children. We do have some more work to do in the ministry to address that, but notwithstanding, we must celebrate the work on the ground for all our helping professionals in the field, our principals who have been calling, our guidance counselors. You have been on the calls, you have been out there, and we are extremely grateful. I'm going to call upon the communities and members of the communities. We need you on board. We cannot do this alone. If you see a child that is not in school, call 211. Call the school. Visit the school. Share the information with us. It is not acceptable to have our kids out of school. They need to be in a safe space. They need to continue their education, and we do have facilities to support. Do not turn a blind eye. We want all hands on deck. And whilst we're talking about those that we cannot account for, we still also do have absenteeism as an issue in our system as well. The students can't become successful and to maximize on the learning experiences if they are not in school. Again, family members, community members, please stand with us and get our children back in school. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so very much, Dr. Troop. I think that ties up the response from Dr. Morrison Leon and our CEO. I'm going to take one more question from the media, and that's you, sir. I have one question from Immaculate, and I see one student with their hand just raised. So those are the 3 questions we're going to take, and then we will come to a close. It's how many hands from Immaculate? 2 hands from Immaculate. All right. We'll do the 2 hands, 3 hands. 3 hands from Immaculate. All right.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Mahiri Stewart, Nationwide News here. I have a couple questions here. The first one was to Dr. Stokes. I don't know if he can accommodate this question. All right, I'll make it quick. But it's regarding the JTC bill. I know at the last presser he had expressed a bit of concern that the bill had not yet been passed into law. I just want to ask him now that we are here reviewing the 3rd quarter, how do you feel about the progress that has been made in its implementation so far?
I should kick that over to the politicians, but listen, I think it's a good thing that the minister has allowed time for consultation and to ensure broad-based feedback. And from my understanding, I think that process has now ended. And I'm not certain in terms of the processes, what are the next steps in terms of getting it to a successful conclusion. But as far as the consultation process is concerned, I think they are now over that. So that's a good thing. I think PS and perhaps the minister can speak to next step and what that looks like. So overall, we're not ecstatic that the JTC bill is not in effect, but there is progress. Hopefully, we should conclude this matter. And as I said at the start of this transformation process, I think it's very important to get feedback and to build a coalition of stakeholders, because this thing called education it affects every one of us, right? So the let's call it the delay was an important one to facilitate that consensus that is critical to these fundamental changes that are being made in the society.
And just to add to what Dr. Stokes said, so we know that there were some concerns with the bill from various groups, especially the JTA. And what I know for a fact, because I've had the chance to sit in many of those sessions, the approach that Minister Dana Morris-Dixon has taken, especially as a new minister, because when the bill started, she wasn't the portfolio minister, and she felt that the concerns were not to be ignored. And so what she has done is to convene several different meetings or sessions with various groups, to include the JTA youth group, church-based groups, and various organizations for them to come to share what their concerns are. And out of those oral discussions, written submissions were asked for. I know for a fact that the JTA has still not given their written submissions, and I'm using this opportunity to appeal to the JTA to send in their written submission. We want to move very swiftly with this bill. Minister Dana Morris-Dixon is very passionate about bringing this to Parliament so that we can have this bill in place. And so the JTA especially, who have not yet made their submission, their written submission, I am making an appeal. It's very important that we conclude this process.
All right, thank you. You have a second question? All right. For Minister? Just anyone? Okay, go ahead, please.
So, regarding the sale and lease proposal that was presented, could you just explain that a bit further as to how it works and how it would be implemented?
I think you sort of turned the questions around, because that should have been the question for Dr. Stokes. P.S., you want to tackle that one at all? I don't know.
So you kind of missed the right person for that one. It's similar to what the ministry began some time ago. I think coming out of COVID, and when we got the challenge to redesign how we built our schools, we actually did an assessment on the PPP, public-private partnership. And we got the assistance of one of our IDPs to assist us with putting a consultancy together. And a series of work activities were done to pull a report together that we have tabled. And so there is an appetite for PPPs in Jamaica. So what was tabled this morning is in alignment with that. We do have pockets of it right now when we look at Crystal House, one of our institutions in Jamaica. It is very similar to that. Our National Education Trust has been leading the discussions with PPPs. We have not had a direction in respect to our rebuilding efforts surrounding post-Melissa concerning PPPs, but it is something that our trend team and our ETAC, the Oversight Commission, is challenging us to consider as a methodology in the process. So currently, we have our NET leading the process. We have our Technical Services Unit leading the process. We have our donors who are also helping us. And those are some of the elements of the rebuilding plan. The government has committed $18 billion in this year to assist us, and that will add to our previously approved budget of $3.4 billion. So we have over $21 billion investing into the rebuilding of our schools this year. And we are grateful. We have demonstrated that we can spend. We actually got $1.7 billion in this last quarter here coming out of Melissa, and we have expended all $1.7 billion in contract already. So we have to demonstrate to the Ministry of Finance that we can spend, and we have been doing that. So we are looking forward to moving the work along in the infrastructure portfolio and expending the $18 billion and getting all our schools, almost 700 schools, back up and running. We are really grateful for that, and I want to publicly thank our contractors who are in the field and who have been working with us, and I also want to ask our principals, I know you are anxious. I crave further patience as we continue the work in the rebuilding areas. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so very much, Dr. Troop. All right, so we're going to go to our questions from Immaculate.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, so my question is based on the presentation regarding guidance counselors, and based on your reports, I believe a number of guidance counselors have been trained and are ready to be integrated into the various schools, especially in affected regions. However, I am the Secretary of the Students' Council at my school, and I am well aware that the NSCC have made various appeals regarding mental health and how we can better mental health across secondary schools in Jamaica. So one of the issues I am also aware of is that while we have guidance counselors, many of the students are not comfortable with really approaching guidance counselors and seeking help. So therefore, my question is, how are we fostering or creating an environment that encourages students to really reach out to guidance counselors? Because we do have good guidance counselors, they are trained, but the students, unfortunately, they're not always comfortable with sharing.
Didn't get your name?
Sorry, my name is Sarah.
All right, Sarah, thank you for your question. Mrs. Thomas Gale, I am going to throw you in the ring with this question.
Morning, everyone. I listened to the question and I'm thinking about it, and how do we get our students to trust, not just our guidance counselor, but just generally trust. And that's one of the reasons we have included, in addition to our guidance counselors, the clinicians and the tele-counseling. So those persons that you can just talk to, and when you leave, they don't see you. You can go on the phone and have the conversation with them, or you can go into a private office and have a discussion with the clinicians that the ministry pays. And so that's the reason we've provided additional resources for our students to ensure that they utilize these resources for their mental health as well as other psychosocial needs. You're welcome, Sarah.
Also, on the topic of mental health, I am also concerned. A part of the presentation, you mentioned that to equip students, exam students in preparation for exams, because they would have been set back since the passage of Hurricane Melissa. One of the ways in which you are going to do that would have been to condense the curriculum. However, my concern is that as you are condensing the curriculum and engaging students more in classes and really encouraging them to quicken the pace in terms of finishing the curriculum in preparation for exams, how is it that we can also do that without compromising their mental health? Because I know students can easily be overwhelmed and even since the passage of Hurricane Melissa, the loss of their homes, the loss of some family members, the separation, all of that has really impacted their mental health. So pushing the curriculum may also have a strain on their mental health. So how can we condense the curriculum, yes, but without compromising mental health?
Who wants to take this one? I just also want to add, while CEO is coming, that we do also balance that with promoting psychosocial support for students with the guidance counselors. But I'm going to allow CEO Thomas Gill to add some more to that.
Sarah, I do hope that our teachers are not pushing the curriculum, because while we want the curriculum to be implemented, we want to be mindful that the student remains the center of the curriculum. So we implement in accordance to our students and their needs. But in addition to that, our teachers are well equipped to know those signals that when they need to flip the classroom, and in flipping the classroom, you change the focus while you're still bringing across the areas that you really want the students to partake in. What I want to emphasize when it comes to examinations, and I want our students to be aware of this, our approach this year, particularly for the CSEC group, we gave the options where our students in the affected areas, regions 3, 4, and 5, that's St. Anne, Trelawney, Hanover, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, and Manchester, we gave them the option to choose only to sit the multiple choice. That's the paper 1 for CSEC. And what we found that the students, the schools selected to sit regular examinations. And I want us to bear in mind that after the exam, after you sit an exam, the data that is gathered from the exam, it will show us exactly what is happening, and decisions can be taken then. And those who are sitting the PEP exam as well, I want you to know that the exams are designed with all that is happening in mind. We are mindful of the mental health of our students sitting the exams, and if the data shows otherwise, decisions can be taken then. As it relates to the content and the push of the content, I don't suspect that our teachers should be pushing it, but the students should be given opportunities where they have their breaks, where the enjoyment is put in there, the enrichment of the curriculum is put in there, so that the students are given that opportunity where they can make the connection with relaxation while learning. And we also went the extra mile to look at webinars, so you have longer hours, so we extend the day. So instead of you trying to push everything in the 8 hours allotted or the 5 hours for curriculum, we extend it beyond different hours so you can do it at your own pace. We also have, your school should be part of that, where we have our One Academy, where we have the classroom in a box, where the students are allowed to go at their own time, their own pace, pull the content that they're having difficulties with, and to go through at their own pace. And of course, the curriculum unit within the Ministry of Education and your regional office, we're here and we're giving support where needed. If there's need, our students have any need. If the parents see where they have any needs, we want to hear from you, the struggles that you're having, so that we can have conversation with you to help you cross, because we're in it together. And I want to assure our students, relax. The exams are there, and it's not to penalize you. We have no intent to penalize you when you sit an exam. We really just want to measure the extent to which you would have achieved the content coverage in the time for this academic year. So no need to stress about it.
For that response.
I'm particularly glad that we have students asking us these questions. From a policy perspective, I want to push some things as you have asked the question. The ministry moved, whilst we were recovering from COVID, into looking at socio-emotional learning. And as a policy directive, we developed what we call the socio-emotional learning week framework. and we gave a policy directive for that activity or plan of activities to be implemented in our schools. We have said to our principals and leaders, if it means to pause the subject-based curriculum for an entire week, we need to test the temperature of our schools, listen to our students, and pause the subject-based curriculum and focus on the socio-emotional learning week work plan that we have sent out. So I'm using this opportunity again to emphasize the importance of paying attention to the policy guidelines of the ministry and to reiterate how important it is to create the balance in the school environment for our students. They really need us. They really need a pause. They really need to breathe. And the enablements have been provided, a guide for the entire week, the resources involved, all of that we sent out as a policy directive in response to the socio-emotional learning needs of our students. So I call again on our school leaders to pay attention and to help our learners. I know we want to pass the exams, but we believe if we deal with those socio-emotional challenges, the students can accelerate in their learning. So I'm going to reiterate the policy directive in that area. I want to speak specifically to something that you made mention of about the trust. I am testifying that I served as a guidance counselor for 9 years at the Queen's School. And the profession is plagued with the criticism that there's a lack of trust. And sometimes, many times, before the case gets to the guidance counselor, many of the peers know about it. And the guidance counseling team suffers from that, to say they are the ones who breach. But many times it's not so. Your peers may say so. But when you start to investigate a case, and all our teachers are shaking, by the time you get involved in a case, there are so many persons that are involved. There are also times for what in guidance and counseling, there's something called privileged communication, and then there are guardrails to what you can not say or what you have to say, right? So if you come to the guidance counselor and you say you're going to hurt yourself, now the guidance counselor has another leg of responsibility to converse with others within your space to protect you. It may come across as a breach, but it is an obligation that they have. And that is why at the beginning of a counseling relationship, we talk about the limitations to confidentiality. Many times our students don't understand that, and so they refuse to go. But it's a part of the job and their obligations. So I want to use this opportunity again to put that in context. Since you're a young lady as well, and you understand the power of peer influence, there is another architecture in the psychosocial environment called our peer counselors. That's something that we have in our system. And so we are encouraging, again, our principals and guidance counselors to build out the peer counseling framework in our schools. So where a student may feel a little concerned about talking to an adult, we have trained young people that they can go to who can guide them to take up the help that we have aligned to our school system. There are challenges. I'm not going to say no. But for the most part, we have good guidance counselors. The Ministry of Education continues to capacitate our counselors. We do ongoing professional development training and case management skills in doing casework, psychotherapy, mental health training, and I can tell you, it's one of those group of workers in our schools and ministry that they do not hesitate when it comes on to capacity building. They turn up because they do care. So I use this opportunity from a policy perspective to encourage our young people. Do not shy away from seeking help. The team members are here in the system, and as our CEO mentioned, we built it out further. To accommodate for your fears, we now have clinicians. All those private practitioners who we have to pay a lot of money to see from a private perspective, the government has included that as a response plan, and we fully fund that support for all our learners. Thank you.
And I just want to add one thing too. Outside of those structured programs, you know, as prefects and student counselors, you yourselves can undertake your own initiatives. I've been a student leader all my life, even right here in this hall. I remember some years ago I was the president of the student council body, and I started with my executive group our own counseling program. So you can have that as an interesting initiative in your school. partner with your head of departments, the coordinator for your year group, and you can come up with a nice and creative program as well. You know, sometimes the young people tend to want to talk more with their peers than they would want to talk with adults. So for your signature program, that's something that you can look at as the student body group.
All right. Thank you so very much, Minister Crawford, CEO and Permanent Secretary. Another question from Immaculate. Yes, we're making sure we take all your questions. Please tell us your name and your grade.
Okay, first of all, good morning, everyone. My name is Sanasha Sinclair. I'm also in grade 10. And since we're in a time crunch, I'm going to keep this very short. My question is very similar to Sarah. I'm also concerned about the advocacy for mental health with students because there's a lot going on. Exams are coming up. There's a lot of prep. However, my main concern right now is how do you suggest we balance school life and personal life? As we know that high school is a very crucial part of everyone's life here. You can remember your high school days where you meet friends, you go on different parties, go to different initiatives, outreach, you do a lot of things in the school. However, now that there's Hurricane Melissa, people in the West, that opportunity is now taken from them. For example, the grade 11 students may not be able to have prom, where you have your little dance, last moment with your friends, graduation, they won't be able to have that. So my concern is, do you have any initiatives or plans to help students get a little bit of semblance to how their life would be in high school?
On what our entire team has just said. I know that schools in the affected regions, they continue to try to make normalcy a part of their activities. So we just celebrated Jamaica Day the other day, and many schools, even schools that had no roofs, they still decided to have their Jamaica Day. So they're still pressing, they're still moving on, we're still working within the framework that PS Troop CEO Thomas Gale and our minister would have described to you to try to ensure that there is balance in the children's lives as best as possible. All right? And PS is coming to tell you something extra.
Okay. I just want to also bring the collective approach that we need to utilize in supporting our students. You're in the center, and all of the persons, the adults in your life, we have to support you. And so a big part of the work is our National Parenting Support Commission. And I think I saw the executive director coming in. Ms. Carr, you're here. Please come to the podium. I just want to use the opportunity for NPSC to talk about the other side of the coin. So it's not just about the schools, but we all have a role to play in the psychosocial support of our learners. So your downtime at home is critical as well as your downtime in school. And as said before, we have tried to normalize as best as possible since Melissa. And a lot of work has been intensified, especially as it relates to building the capacity. We rolled out a mental health bus that is going around in our schools. We are putting wellness benches in our schools in partnership with the Ministry of Health. So that's a space to facilitate some downtime. You need a break, you need to breathe. We now have wellness benches in our schools to facilitate that. And one is at Immaculate, right? Yes. I can say one IMAC. I was told that's the mantra, Madam Principal. Yes. But I want to also continue with the wraparound services that we provide and to just give a minute to our Executive Director from the National Parenting Support Commission to tell you more about what we do for parents as we provide enablements for our students.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, PS. The National Parenting Support Commission is indeed a part of the system of care that the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information offers. We are very, very interested in the provision of psychosocial support as a means of strengthening our parents to respond to the present and emerging needs of their children. We do training every single day. Even last night, we were training a number of parents in this here Kingston and in Clarendon to ensure that they understand how past unresolved experiences that could include the hurricane impact them socially, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, a part of the domain that we don't talk about enough. So the idea is to strengthen parents so that there is that support that continues at home. The homeschool partnership is very important to us. And so when we strengthen our parents, that kind of continued service is offered at home. I hope that helps. You're welcome.
All right, so I have to put in some guardrails now. So I'm taking one question each from the remaining two students. I see we have one student from Immaculate left standing, and we have one student from the Queen School and one student from Swallowfield. So that's one question each, all right? Before you have your question, though, I just want to remind us that about the 211 helpline. It is a dedicated helpline for us to report abuse and neglect of children. And also, National Parenting Support Commission does also have a helpline. The number is 788-5606. If a parent needs support, reach out. The support is there for you, all right? Over to you.
Hey everyone. My name is Zane Cameron, and I'm currently in grade 12. So my question is, I think a huge focus is put on ensuring that we as students finish the syllabus, we have the knowledge, we understand everything that we're supposed to be learning. But I think there's a lack of focus on ensuring that we have skills and the know-how to actually carry out what we're supposed to be doing. Because in everyday life we hear, oh, everything you learn in school is not the same as what you're going to be doing in the work life. And I think there's a lack of focus on that, as well as a lack of guidance as to what we're supposed to do after we get the knowledge.
All right, so what's your question?
So my question is, what's being done, I think it falls under Pillar 5 too, to ensure that we have more skills and the know-how to carry out what we're doing.
All right, Dr. Leon? Or that's Tivet. Yes, Dr. Leon, you want to? Well, we'll just take all the questions. All right, so we have a question about what is being done to increase skill uptakes, TVET uptake at the school level. All right, thank you. We're going to just give one response. And we're moving to this side of the room.
Morning. My name is Damaran Lecky. I'm in grade 6, and my question is, how do you come up with the idea of the pillars for the trend program?
All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Lecky, Mr. Lecky, grade 6 of Swallowfield Primary. How did we arrive at the 7 pillars of trend? All right, you can have a seat. We're going to answer that question. And the final question.
Good morning. My name is Ashley Dawkins. I'm also in grade 12. My question is, with the priority within the Western schools being persons sitting external examinations, what is being done to rectify the knowledge gap within grade 7 to 10 with them not being able to have certain skills and knowledge to be able to successfully pass their exams?
Those are some big questions. So I'm going to give them to the big lady, our permanent secretary, Dr. True. So, Doc, you have all your questions?
Yes.
All right, good.
So I'll take the easy one first. How did we come up with the acronym TREND, or the pillars of TREND? So I smiled about the acronym TREND because that actually came from the young people. So when we say we are trending, transforming education for national development, we went around the country to talk to young people and teachers to come up with a tagline to drive the work of the JETC report. And it is the young people who said, the education seems a little boring. It needs to be aligned with who we are. And they actually came up with the acronym. So it's not really us here in Central Ministry that latched on and developed that whole thing. It's that young people say, we want to hear education in a trendy way. And then we asked them to tell us about what would that mean. And that is how we got Transforming Education for National Development. And the tagline also came from the young people. They want to know that education is for a brighter tomorrow. And so all of that came together in our first campaign. We're going through across the community, telling everybody in Jamaica what the JETC report was about and what we are going to do, and we needed ideas from the young people. So the pillars, though, in the report came from the commission. So the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission, they had members who sat on that commission, and they did their research as they consulted with stakeholders in Jamaica, looked at the model in Jamaica, looked at the model elsewhere. They came up with these pillars, because when you look at the research internationally, you will see that these are key areas in educational models across the world. So it's not really novel in a sense, because if you Google, you will find other models of transformation focused on the same pillars. They may not call it trend like we do, but it is evident in other models of transformation across the world. So any good system will want to know that we're looking at early childhood. Right? Any good system would want to know that we are improving the technology, improving the infrastructure. So those are key pillars: teacher education, curriculum development, governance, leadership at the board level, leadership at the school level. Every good education system, they do those areas well. And so what we wanted to do is to translate that in Jamaica, the same level of excellence in Jamaica. And that's how the commission charged us to focus on those 7 pillars. All right? Got it? All right. And so TVET, it's so interesting that the question is coming from one IMAC, because I want to just celebrate the principle of Immaculate in this area, because we know the one IMAC as traditionally academically oriented institution, what we call classical learning, and we boast about that. But your principal has been working assiduously with this ministry to turn that around in your institution. And you can shake your head with me, because she's about balancing. So not to take away the excellence that you have, but to empower you further so you can be a part of what this country needs as we drive the economy forward. So to drive Jamaica, we need a technical and vocational expertise. And we should not leave out Immaculate out of that. You are some of our brightest minds, right? Everybody knows that. You compete in your CXC and you brag about your excellence at CXC. And so your principal, and I want to make that public, that Immaculate has taken on the thrust to broaden the curriculum offerings, to include the technical and vocational areas. So our girls are moving in that area. So I'm taking the opportunity to say that and to let Jamaica know that that's part of our TVET expansion plan. So we are broadening the offerings. We are modernizing the offerings also. That's why you saw the Oversight Smart Room. And I'm sure if you Google us, you will see what is happening at St. Mary Tech. And in a very short order, you're going to see some other labs coming that we are partnering with the Heart NSTA Trust. That will just going to blow your mind. So we are modernizing. And of course, we are broadening the option to the 6th form pathway. So how do we ensure that there's assessment aligned with the curriculum offering? So we have the CSEC component of the skill areas. We have the CVQs, right? The carbon vocational qualification. That's another area of certification within our education system. And we have the NVQs, which is a national qualification, vocational education qualification as well. And then we have partnered with City and Guilds to do the Skill Proficiency Award. So there is an opportunity for every Jamaican child to leave the education system certified in a skill area. We want to celebrate that. All right, and to encourage all our schools to move with us as we work to expand. It will take time to get it fully rolled out because you have to build out the labs. So you are exposed to cutting-edge experiences, not an education that is preparing you for a world that does not exist. So we have to catch up as well, and our principals have been patient with us. We are moving that forward. Last year, we invested an additional $800 million in TVET alone. And we have a commitment to do that again this year, just to move the labs forward, to move the formative learning forward, to support you when you prepare for your practical experiences, and to support you in your payment for your exams. All of that is built into the educational model in Jamaica. All right? And finally, the knowledge gaps. I'm going to invite CEO to come and talk about what we have been doing for the extended learning opportunities to maximize on the time we have left in school, just before you go off for your exams, and also, how we have been providing the resources to support learning not only in the physical school environment, but learning beyond the walls of the school. If we are going to maximize, if we are going to be excellent, learning cannot be limited to the school environment. We all have to move beyond the 5 hours of the school day to using our independent time, our individual time, differently if we are going to catch up with the gaps of our system. So, Sister Masgail, you can just come and reiterate that in the specifics for me.
Thank you, PS. So, Ashley, so for the students at grades 7 through 10 in the affected areas, what we have done in addition to the modified curriculum, we sent learning kits. Thank you, Minister. We sent learning kits to the institutions for grades 7 through 9. We did the workbooks for grades 7 through 9. So along with their other workbooks, what we have done, we looked at the curricula, we look at the areas that they are currently doing, and they're on a rotation where they go in some days and some days they are in remote spaces. So on the days that they are in the remote spaces, we have given them the workbooks aligned to the curricula for them to be able to carry on the work while they are not in the face-to-face setting. And we continue what we have been doing, and we have really placed more emphasis on it in the past 3 years since I've been the CEO, is really for us to look at the data. So we continuously look at our data coming out of even your assessment that you do in school. We are currently doing assessment where we send a particular set of assessment for language arts and mathematics to these students that they do, and we look and see where there are gaps, and wherever we see there are gaps, we go out and we do training with the teachers to show them where we are seeing the gaps and how it is that they can bridge those gaps. It's continuous, and we continue to do that. Thus, we have been seeing improvement across the different levels because we've been using the data, and our students have really, really been putting in the work. And I really want to encourage our students to continue putting in the work, especially our students in the western areas. When you're not in school, I want you to treat it as if you're in school. Maximize every awakened hours so that you're not found lagging behind because you're not in a face-to-face setting. And again, I know PS had really thanked our teachers, and again, we cannot overemphasize the extent to which we're really appreciative to our teachers, our principals, the regional teams in Region 3, 4, and 5, the way in which they mobilize our schools and our students, and of course our parents. Our students must be in school. We have to manage their attendance. If you're not in school, you cannot get access to the curriculum. And so we must ensure, do not keep the children out for absolutely no reason at all. If it is meals, the schools are prepared to help you with that. If you're having difficulty in any other area, uniforms, we work in collaboration with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, and we're able to bridge gaps in the social areas of our students' lives. But we must be made aware of your needs so that we can give additional support or to guide you as to where the support is. Once the students are in schools, our teachers maximize the contact time and maximize the delivery of the curriculum. Thank you very much for that question.
Before Ms. Bailey comes, as we prepare to close, I really just want to commend our young people from the primary schools and the high schools. I mean, I've been to more than one of the E-Talk press conferences, and I can tell you that in terms of the questions asked today, this is one of the most robust sessions that we have had. So commendation to all of you who are bold enough to ask your questions. Commendations to your teachers, principals, parents, and those who have poured into your own development. I know if Minister Dixon was able to be here today, she would have been smiling from ear to ear. And so we really just want to thank you and continue to partner with us as we move Jamaica forward.
Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of... but before we go to the end, I just want to say that as a part of our regional and national care support system, we have regional parenting support managers, and they work very closely with our regional officers, our guidance and counseling units to support parents and schools on the ground. So that's another plug there, that our wraparound services to support our system. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was just saying to Dr. Morrison-Leon, and well, she was saying to me rather, that this is unprecedented. We haven't seen this. We have not had an E-Talk press conference go for more than an hour. But we did it today, and we were thoroughly engaged. And it is my pleasure to move the vote of thanks to you all today. I want to say a very big thank you to our permanent secretary, Dr. Casson Troop, who, as usual, you can give her a round of applause, handles herself so well under the glaring light and the pressure of the questions from wherever they come. She answers them, and she does represent for us very well. Not just speaking, though, she does indeed work very hard to get us moving as a system. So we have to say thanks to her. Of course, we have to say thanks to Dr. Adrian Stokes. He had to, he apologizes, he had to leave us. But Dr. Stokes, leading the Education Transformation Oversight Committee, he continues, to be very, might I say, stentorian, very strident, getting us moving every week. Thursday morning, 8 o'clock on the dot. It is answer the questions, let's get it moving. And we have to say thank you to him and the rest of the committee members who support the ministry. Of course, Dr. Morrison-Leon, such a hard-working lady, and she continues to make sure that we remain on target for these deliverables. It's not just about meeting the deliverables. You see numbers here, ladies and gentlemen. You do. But on the ground, it takes a lot of work to get those numbers to be favorable and meaningfully so. So we want to say thank you to her for leading that team. Also to our state minister. And I think I can put a shameless plug here. I should put a shameless plug here, right, Minister? Yes. Right, Doc? Short would I. This isn't even about the region of champions today. This is about the Shortwood Heights that are here with us, and they're in the room. Yes. Growth and enlightenment, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, what? Are you hearing something, Sashil? We're not hearing anything about night. No, not at all. But thank you. Yesterday she was with us at LASCO, and she shared about wanting to be here. You really have come on board as our state minister and brought an effervescence to the space, and we appreciate the work you've been doing with us so far. Thank you as well to our executive management teams and heads of agencies. Please stand. Please stand. Miss Brame, I see Miss Brame, our Deputy Chief Education Officer. I see Miss Murray from the National Council on Education, Miss Vivian from Planning Unit, Miss Casey Carr from the National Parenting Support Commission, Mrs. Harrison Garty from National Education Trust, who is here from NCEL. Hi, sir, from NCEL. National NPL, I see Council of Community Colleges of Jamaica here, e-learning, Mr. Lee. I see also Dr. Thompson, our National Math Coordinator, our team, hello sirs, from our Finance and Accounts Unit and Building, and, our executive team. Hold on, I'm coming to that. And I have to, of course, big up, and I'm going to ask them to stand, our two directors that are here with us, Mr. Otis Brown. Miss Otis? Oh, Otis, sorry. Mr. Otis Brown. I think you have taken on a Germanic pronunciation of the name, sir. Mr. Otis Brown, Director of Region 1. And we have also my director. I'm not going to say the best director, because then that wouldn't be fair. But my director, Mrs. Susan Nelson Smith. Sorry, miss? I'm going to cut it. But yes, our directors, they help. So this is the engine, ladies and gentlemen. But they drive the change. And so when everything, and I see Dr. Heath as well, please stand, Dr. Heath, who ably supports the work of the permanent secretary in the office. These are the people, the team from COMS, who help to make sure that change. When the directive comes down, our directors make sure that they whip us into a foment to get the work done and get it out. And we have to say thank you to them. Give them a round of applause. You may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to say thank you to our schools who have come. Again, this is not an individual process. It's not about Dr. Troop or the minister. You are why we do what we do. Our children, thank you. You have proven to us today that it's not in vain. It's not in vain. And we continue to support you as you become us one day. You're going to take over one day. You're going to be a PS. Yes, you're going to be a minister, you're going to be an education officer, project leader, whoever you become, we are believing in you to be that. And I want to say thank you to the members of the media who are here with us. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to the team as well from Shortwood Teachers College, who graciously, as they generally do, as Shortwoodites are known to do, who have generously hosted us. And thank you to JIS, who follows us everywhere and makes sure that we get the message out to the public. And ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anita Bailey, Community Relations Education Officer in the Ministry of Education. Have yourselves a wonderful day.